Our children will make mistakes, but the way we react to those mistakes is infinitely more important and impactful than the mistake itself. Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Better Dad Podcast, a place for imperfect dads who are doing everything they can, but want to do better. Regardless of what stage of parenthood you're in, fatherhood you're in, we all have the same goal, okay? My children are a little bit more grown, and just because I only have a few years left with them, it doesn't make it an excuse for me to not try my best to be the best dad for them in whatever time I have left with them here at home. So guys, today I want to talk about a very, very important point. And it's something that was triggered by a book that I've been reading called Limitless Mind by Joe Boaler. I believe the name is J-O. And the last name is spelled B-O-A-L-E-R. And anyways, Limitless Mind is great. It's all about growth mindset. It's about the ability that we have to grow our brains, and how science has been able to find that our brains actually do grow, because as we learn and as we develop our abilities, neurons create connections. And I don't think this is new to anybody, but our neurons create connections, and so information is able to travel faster. Memories are able to be stored more properly. Cognitively, we're able to think and to create and to come up with solutions at a better rate. So in this book, one of the first chapters focuses on the science of making mistakes, right? On the ability that mistakes have to make us better, to grow our brains. And so as I was reading through it, I thought, about my kids. Okay, how can I apply this with them? How can I teach them, about the mistakes and this research, right? Like these findings about, making mistakes, makes your brain grow because of the work that you put in, the lessons that you learn. And then it dawned on me, oh my gosh, I should have been doing this, since I was, since they were babies, right? I wish I would have been more cognitive and more cognizant of this when they were little, because then I could have not only implemented it for them, but I could have implemented it for me. And I could have understood how to guide them through mistakes, instead of just doing the dad thing, right? Don't do that. Well, that was dumb. I could have been so much better if I would have just been more cognizant of this. Okay? How can I teach my children that it is okay to make mistakes? Guys, I've been, a dad for 15 years. Okay? Again, I only have, a few more years with them. If I have raised children who are afraid to make mistakes, then I have let them down. I might have been nice, I might have provided for them really well, but I have in part failed as a dad. Because life is making mistakes. Mistakes is the one thing in life we cannot avoid. That's how we are who we are today. And it doesn't matter how much you learn. It doesn't matter how much you're told. There will be some things that you will do, some mistakes that you will make because you need to experience them. And our children will do the same. For the most part of their childhood, I obsessed over them being as good as possible and being as close to perfect at everything, because in my own mind, it was out of pure unconditional love. I thought, if I can teach them to be good, if I can teach them to not make mistakes, to pay attention to what they do, then their lives are going to be easier, because they won't have as many consequences to be dealing with. They won't have consequences that will get in their way. They won't have consequences to go back and fix. So they can just keep moving, right? They keep moving. And not only, I'm saying it right now, and obviously it sounds illogical. Not only is it illogical, it's unrealistic, right? And not only is it unrealistic, but it's illogical. It's just all around. It's just not a good idea. Our children will make mistakes. We can't avoid it. But we can definitely avoid turning a mistake into a bad situation, turning a mistake into a bad memory, right? Or turning a mistake into something that you and I can regret for the rest of our lives. Okay, we're going to have certain regrets as dads, things that we wish we could have done better, things that we wish we would have done different, not even better, right? Just completely different. But that is life. Again, we'll make mistakes. And the way that we use those mistakes is going to do a lot for our children. So I wrote a LinkedIn article about this. I'll put it in the description, in the comments. And it's really small, so I'm just going to go through it really quick. I want to share with you 7 things that I wish I would have done different as a dad, over the last 15 years, based on this science of brain science of making mistakes. So number 1, I would have made a pact with myself to never fly off the handle, never get mad, never react strongly or with strong emotions when my children made mistakes. And the reason why I'm using this as number 1 is because everything begins with us. If you want to be better parents, we got to get better. We got to develop. That doesn't happen organically. That is absolutely a proactive thing. You have to chase it down. Simple as that. Yeah, that's what I'll do first. I'll make that pact, with myself, and because everything begins with us. Number 2, I would reassure them, that they can come to me without fear of retribution whenever they make a mistake, that they can come to me with a fear of harsh punishment or retribution. Okay. Now, I'm not saying that mistakes should have no consequences. Some of them should, absolutely. But again, the way that you react to those mistakes and when they come to you with those mistakes is going to determine the type of communication that you have with your children, but also the level of honesty that they have with you. So if we explode when our children come to us and they're fearful what's going to happen, you will create 2 situations. There's a situation where they either don't say anything, they stop trusting you, maybe they'll tell mom, right? or they simply will find a way to get out of it. Okay, and that includes lying. Okay, they will find a way to come up with a story, to come up with a narrative that doesn't get them in as much trouble. Not a bad lie, but it's a lie. They're not telling you the truth. And why are they not telling you the truth? Because they don't trust you. They don't feel safe with you. And that's not what we want for our children. They deserve better. So I'm going to leave it at that. Just reassure them that they can come to you without fear of retribution and hard punishment, and do keep that promise, that pact that you made to you, and then keep it with them. Number 3, I would explain to them in their own level of understanding that making mistakes is just that. It doesn't make them bad. It doesn't make them dumb. It doesn't make them lesser than. It doesn't make them the problem child, right? It doesn't make them unworthy of anything. It's just they made a mistake because they didn't know something, or because maybe they just physically they're not able to do something. But so number 4, I would teach them the difference between a bad choice and a mistake. A mistake, is exactly that. You didn't know or you couldn't. And we work through those. Let's talk about it. What happened here? Okay. A bad choice would be, hey, you grab that bat and you whacked your brother in the knees, or in the butt, just to see how he will react. Well, you knew it was going to hurt. You knew what you were doing. That's not a mistake. That's just a bad choice. And so anyways, and the reason why we separate those two is because they need to know that the way that we're going to deal with mistakes is different than the way we're going to deal with bad choices. Bad choices in most situations do need some type of a consequence. But a mistake can simply be a conversation. It can simply be a chance to see, okay, why did this happen? What don't you know? What can I teach you? How can I help you? And how can we make sure that it doesn't happen again? Okay, number 5, I'll make sure to use all their mess-ups, their mistakes as learning opportunities. Even, like I said, even if it's just a simple conversation, I would try to use absolutely all their mistakes as a chance for them to learn something, to work through the problem, and to come out of it with something. Once I heard somebody say this about the gym. He goes, hey, you went to the gym, you did some weights, right? Like, get something out of it. Put the work in. If you took the time to get dressed, drive, get in and sit there, get something out of it. Do some weights. In a way, making mistakes can be in the exact same manner. You made the mistake, let's get something out of it. Okay, you paid the price, well, let's get something out of it. Number 6, I'll talk to them about the lessons learned from making said mistakes, so that they can understand that making mistakes is just part of the process. Sure, what kind of choices can you make coming from there? What have you learned from this? And then they can start seeing mistakes as part of the process of growing up, instead of something to be feared, instead of something to feel dumb about. And just as a bit of a tangent, never ever make your children feel dumb for making a mistake. Okay, I know that sometimes it's hard. It's hard to withhold our emotions. It feels good to be angry, right? It feels good to explode, and it feels good for when we see that they have that reaction, like, oh my gosh, okay, Dad, I never do that again. Like, and then we think that we got the point across, right? The point that was like that was bad, that was wrong. Don't do it again, okay? And that may feel good, but what good is there in making our children feel afraid of us and never ever ever make them feel dumb? Okay, there's absolutely nothing in it. Not for you, not for them. Nobody benefits from them feeling dumb. Especially for a mistake. Again, I'm telling you some of these things from personal experience. Our children deserve better, and you can learn this 5 years into your child's life. You can learn it 10 years into your child's life. You can learn it 18 years into your child's life. However, the longer you wait to rectify that issue, the bigger issue it will be. One of the things that Joe talks about in the book is there was a study, grouped children based on the ones that saw themselves as intelligent and saw themselves as being able to solve problems, and a group of children who literally didn't feel like they were very intelligent and didn't think that they were able to come up with solutions to situations or problems. And their academic development, the trajectory of their academic development, it was staggering. Okay, and it all comes from the things that we those ideas that we instill in our children. So if we make them feel stupid, if we make them feel dumb, long term that can be a huge detriment for them. So let's never ever do that. And if we have done it, it is imperative that we ASAP go back and say, I'm sorry, if I ever done this, or I'm sorry when I did this. If you can point it out, I was mad. It was not my intention. I love you. This is not who you are. Okay, this is I don't believe that. Okay, I was angry. I was being dumb. Please forgive me. Okay, rectify it as soon as you can. Number 6, so talk to them about the lessons learned from making said mistakes, so they understand that making them is part of the process. And in fact, it is the process of growing up. It is the process of becoming who we are. And number 7, I would encourage them to not stop at a mistake. Perhaps my biggest mistake. The goal of this life is not to not make mistakes, right? It's not to avoid the mistakes, but it's to make the best out of them. The goal is to work through them. So again, you pay the price, you get something out of it. Our brains grow because of mistakes, but they don't grow because we made the mistakes. They grow from what we get from making the mistakes, right? In other words, now that's pretty wordy, but our brains grow not because we made a mistake, but because we worked through them, because we looked to gain some wisdom out of them. That's why it grows. And if that's the approach that we have, then my friends, making mistakes can be one of the biggest tools that you have, not only to help your children become the best version that they can be, but also in creating a strong relationship between you and your children. A relationship where they trust you. A relationship where they can talk about things with you. Because there's one thing that I do know from personal experience. Just like I made mistakes and bad choices, my children will also make mistakes and some bad choices. And I'm hoping that they're on the lesser side of the spectrum. Maybe nothing too stupid. But when they do, I want them to come to me. I got to talk to Dad about this. I need Dad's help. Whether big or small, especially in the big ones, right? I need to talk to Dad about this. I can't think of anything more impactful that we can have than that open communication, that strong relationship with our children. So anyways, curious to know what you think about these 7 things that I learned that I wanted to share with you. And if you do have some and you want to throw them down at the bottom in some of those comments, please do. Again, we're here to help each other. We all have different journeys. We're all in different stages. But the love that we have for our children I know that we all love them unconditionally and we would do anything for them. So let's start better.